So Toby, we're here at the Wicken Estates today. Can you tell me a little bit about the farm?
Yeah, this is Wicken Farms in North Norfolk, Castleacre. We are 900 hectares of 100% irrigated light land, growing cereals, sugar beet, potatoes, onions and oilseed rape.
So we're here today to talk about sugar beet. How does sugar beet fit into the rotation on this farm?
Well, being a Norfolk farmer, 21 miles from Whittington Beet Factory, it's a bit of a staple crop for the county and for most farms in the area. So yeah, we grow sugar beet as a key part of the rotation, basically for weed control and trying to control volunteer potatoes, thistles, and grass weed control. It's reasonably profitable. It's becoming less profitable with the current climate as it is, but it's a staple crop to balance out the different various crops we have on the estate, and it fits the estate really well. If we need to irrigate it, we can, and yeah, it makes us a few quid, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, and you mentioned sort of fitting in sugar beet there with the weed spectrum on the farm. Sort of what is the weed burden and pressure on the farm? What are you looking at most on this land?
So yeah, the weed burden we have here ranges. So we're growing sugar beet on kind of sandy clay loam at the far end of the estate to blowing sand, which is here. The weed spectrum is everything really. I mean, this land will grow, it's growing meadow grass, it will grow all the standard sugar beet weeds, pansies, speedwells, and we need to get good control throughout the different soil types and throughout the rotation. The other factor we've brought into this is obviously we're putting cover crops. We're direct drilling into ex-cover crop land, and as you can probably see, there's turnips and there's broadleaf weed popping up all over the place. And so, it's a case that we need to get on top of the weeds early with good quality residuals to get the best job going into the sugar beet emerging and cotyledon stage control of other weeds.
So lots of generics on the market now. Why is it important to you to use quality formulations such as those available from ADAMA?
Well, when you're growing big varieties, lots of different crops, lots of variety of cropping, it's really important to get good quality formulation that can be mixed with other good quality formulations. You know what you're paying for, you get the efficacy. We don't end up with issues with sprayers and other problems like that. But the main factor is getting the efficacy out of the product and knowing that the formulation is going to do what you expect it to do rather than what it says on the tin but doesn't quite perform. The other big factor is, again, as I say, crop safety. So when you're growing a lot of various different root crops and broadleaf crops, you've got to look after them, and we can't afford to have mistakes, problems with generic labeling, and generic packaging can be confusing in the chemical store as well as in the field. So we need to I like to keep it as clean and as efficient as possible so we don't have any issues further down the line.
So Toby, what's your standard herbicide approach on this farm for sugar beet?
So for sugar beet, because of the diverse rotation and how busy we are in the spring with drilling sugar beet, onions and potatoes, and we've also got spring barley, we tend to always use a pre-emergence. So pre-emergence residuals will always give us good coverage while the crop's getting emerged, and it just gives me a bit of security. So we always go with a Goltix Titan pre-em that then builds into a bit of protection for when the crop's coming up and at cotyledon stage before we go in with the main program, really.
And what is your main program based on?
It's mainly based around the three basic metametron, fenmedifam and ethifumazate is our bulk standard. We fiddle it around depending on the weed burden. Different parts of the farm have different pressures. We're stood here in min-tilled light land. We've got light land ploughed across the way, which will have a completely different spectrum of weed on it, probably very little. So yeah, we then covers us into this stage, and so yeah, we go with probably 2 or 3 of those products mixed together, maybe with a few extras on fields like this.
Yeah. And do you have a preference between straights or co-forms?
Mainly use straights because we can balance up the actives, and gives us we can fine tune the level of herbicide we're using with mixes, with straights. Sorry, sometimes if it fits, we'll use a mix, and I try and stick to as much branded product as possible, due to the fact that we're mixing, to try and ensure we get the best efficacy and the best mixability in the sprayer to do the best job we can on the farm.
And what are your thoughts on Conviso? Have you tried Conviso on the farm? Would you bring conventional chemistry into a Conviso program? What are the benefits of doing that?
So we tried Conviso a couple of years ago, for 2 seasons, mainly on the basis of timeliness and trying to control volunteer potatoes and get a better handle on some of the bigger weed issues we had, which the Conviso system worked really well, but we had to pre-em. It's purely a safety net, but as I said before, pre-emming is it just gives you that little bit of extra time, and is able just to help you. And we did use a post-em standard herbicide as well, just as a holding spray, because some of this light land can get away from you if you're not careful, and if you wait too long and the weather doesn't go on your side, the Conviso one application could have itself an awful lot of work to do. The other disappointing stage at that early stage of Conviso was that it wasn't yielding quite what we'd anticipated, and I think a lot of that was mainly probably because of nematode issues. But so yeah, we've tried that, but we've gone back to conventional beet and conventional chemistry in order to try and get the best cleanup we can from sugar beet in the rotation.